How about it for the former senior correspondent at ABC News? This guy covered the White House for years. He's been all around into war zones. He's the real thing. Jim Avila, everybody.
Good morning,
Jim,
Mark.
sadly,
Morning,
good morning. Kim, I think
afternoon.
he's on the road to a new job, as you know. We caught him. He was very generous to spend time on our show for the last year as someone who could weigh in on various world events, domestic events, political events. And I get such great feedback on your appearances, Jim. And now you've taken your talents and you are going to the ABC station in San Diego, where you're leading up their investigative unit there. It's a real team of investigators. You're doing great work. At least it looks as though potentially it'll be some great stuff over the next couple of years, but we're going to lose you here, aren't we?
Yeah, and I'm really sorry about that, Mark, because I really enjoy my visits with you and with Kim and with your audience. But this is an opinion thing here, and now if I go back into the news, I really can't do opinion anymore. I really have to stick to the facts, and you want no facts on your show, so we are going to have to leave.
We do want your takes on things. It's true. So if that upsets the apple cart, then yeah, you got to move on. Kim, what?
Yeah,
Kim,
I tried,
you're
but I
muted.
couldn't.
You're muted, Kim. But we see you holding your heart, which would suggest that you are particularly distressed. Kim really adores you. I think it's unhealthy how much Kim likes you. But I understand why, I understand why your station management may not have been cool with it.
Yeah, I have to stop writing the column too. It's all opinion, So
sure.
They're paying the big bucks, Mark. So we gotta,
you gotta
go with it.
What do you make of as we slide into the holidays? What do you make of the? One of the things that people love about you. So even as I ask the question, I'll just give you this little short preamble. One of the things people love about you is that you, despite all the polling and all of the various news about Biden's age and about the fact that in a head-to-head, Trump shapes up quite well, even in swing state voters who are polled, you really seem pretty unconvinced of the notion that Biden is going to lose if he's the Democratic candidate, which he will likely be. You maintain that position, right?
I maintain that position as long as Donald Trump is his opponent. I don't believe that Americans, and I can't believe that Americans will, now that they've seen what a Donald Trump presidency means and the fact that he has gone off the rails, using words that remind people of Hitler himself, that they will in fact vote for Donald Trump, even if Joe Biden seems a bit frail. He may seem frail, but he's not wacky. He's not making decisions that are that even hurt people he disagrees with. He's just not that way. So I don't think that the American public, and if the American public somehow votes for Donald Trump, they deserve Donald Trump. And I will likely be moving. He is destructive. He is trying to destroy our country. And if we let him do that by electing him again, then that's the country they deserve.
Tell me what you thought of his Thanksgiving message. Kim, didn't you read it to me last night? Kim and I had a little Thanksgiving visit by phone, and Kim read me the abusive insults that were littered through his Thanksgiving message. I mean, Thanksgiving message is like one of those layups. You don't need to say anything but, wishing everybody, all Americans a happy Thanksgiving in these troubled times, give thanks for each other, whatever the hell you say, right?
Yeah. This quite the holiday message Donald Trump gave. Yes.
What did he say, Kim?
It's on video, and it was basically just, it was more Trumpisms. It was all hurling insults, naming people, insulting people, and it went on and on.
Oh. Albert, we didn't rally that video. I would have liked to have seen it. But I know on Truth Social, he also kind of, and Truth Social, by the way, Kim and Jim both, I think you're probably aware, now I think it's lost $37 million. So that's an effort that is failing for him. But
he's a disaster.
Yeah. So
and
this negativity does resonate with some, but you're maintaining, again, just to remind everyone, that you're saying, sure, his support is unshakable, but that support is not sufficient to win the presidency.
Right. It's huge in the Republican Party. So he gets 50 to 60%, right, of the Republican Party. But remember, the Republican Party is a minority party in the first place, okay? The demographics of the Republican Party are terrible. They're old. They're small. They have fewer voters in the Republican Party than are in the Democratic Party. So it's a minority party in the first place. And then, so if you take 50% of the minority party, there's still only 35 to 40% of Americans in general who support him. Democrats will never vote for him. And, some of them may stay home, which is troubling. And independents may stay home. May not be motivated by either one. That's a problem. And I'm not saying there's not any problems. I'm saying that with Donald Trump as the Republican candidate, Democrats are safe.
Let me ask you about the Democrats themselves. If you have to move or whatever, let me know. But the Democrats, as a result, I think, of what's happening in Gaza and the entire Hamas-Israeli showdown, and that's a polite way to put it. I mean, it was a bloodbath and has continued to be a bloodbath, and the atrocities perpetrated by Hamas, and then the horror of the bombing and the destruction in Gaza, and so many losing their lives. There's a split in the Democratic Party over this, and younger people, sub 30, I believe it was, or sub 35. I'm remembering kind of just a little foggy on that. But 70% of that demographic in the Democratic Party, they don't support our position as a country supporting Israel. Does that? I'd love your thoughts on this, and also your take from a political standpoint, what that means.
Well, I think it's true. I think that young people do not have the history with the Israeli state that many in the older generations do. We've been through a lot with the Israelis, and the fact that some Arab countries, most Arab countries, have been trying to eliminate them from the beginning of 1948 when they established their state. So there are young people who do side with the Palestinians. And look, there is a side for the Palestinians. The Palestinians have been shat upon, not only by the Israelis, but by their own Arab countries, by Jordan, who kicked them all out, by Egypt, who won't allow them in. So there is a sympathy to be given to Palestinians, not to Hamas, but the Palestinian people. And many people believe, and I tend to believe with them, that the Israelis have gone overboard, and the destruction of Gaza, not just of Hamas, but of Gaza, has turned many people against them. And Joe Biden and his generation will support Israel no matter what, and that has hurt him among the public. But when you go in a year from now, when we go into the voting booth, are you really going to, as even young people, are they really going to decide they're going to vote for Donald Trump instead of Joe Biden because of that? Donald Trump wants to not allow Palestinians or any Arabs, any Muslims into this country. He wants to close the door. So are those folks going to vote for him? Are young people who support Palestinians going to vote for Donald Trump? It's a poor choice, but I don't think that's going to happen. And the same thing happens with the rest of the Democratic coalition that is fading a little bit now among African Americans, among Latinos. Those people will all come back. Oh, they're stay at home. And so then it becomes a motivation trick on whether or not who's motivated to come to the polls. And I don't think Donald Trump will. Now, if there's another Republican who emerges, Nikki Haley's getting a little bit of a bump. Nikki Haley comes off as a moderate on many of these issues, including abortion, where she's not, but she comes off that way. And if she is the candidate, then I would say the Democrats have a real problem.
It's interesting, too, Jim, you talk about these different factions and all both parties are made up of all these different factions, but you talk about the black vote and the Hispanic vote and these vote, the senior vote, the young demographic vote, and you do need everybody to show up for the Democrats to do well, because the Democrats, as you've just noted a couple of minutes ago, they have an overwhelming dominance from the standpoint of who all those people are, where they are, and how many of them there are. But in some of the ways that you've just noted, they might lay out. There are third-party choices as well. I mean, it's not just Joe Biden or Donald Trump, assuming Trump makes it all the way to the finish line and is the candidate. I mean, there could be votes siphoned off from a Jill Stein or even a JFK Jr. or Joe Manchin. I wonder if you could evaluate Joe Manchin's likelihood of running as a third-party candidate.
Well, I think it's possible. It depends if you believe him. If you believe him, he says he's not going to be a spoiler. He's not going to win, so his only choice is to be a spoiler. So he probably should sit out. I think most Americans learned their lesson in the Hillary Clinton-Donald Trump first election in 2016, that a vote for a third-party candidate is a vote for Trump. Now, in today's environment, is it really a vote for Trump? Maybe not. I don't think those who support Robert F. Kennedy are really those who would support Joe Biden in the first place. He's not a conspiracy theorist. Joe Biden is not. Donald Trump is. If you're a conspiracy person, you're going to go with Robert F. Kennedy, and you're coming away from Donald Trump, not from Joe Biden. I don't think he's going to hurt him much. I don't think that the other protest candidates are really going to amount to much. So I'm not really that concerned about them as much. I'm most concerned about the fact that his voters, his 35%, will remain motivated. Okay, so the Democrats have to work hard to remain motivated and to become motivated before the election in a year from now. I think they will be, and I think what you're going to find is that they are going to come back to the Democratic Party when everything settles down, and when this Palestinian-Israeli conflict simmers down a bit. We're seeing it simmer down now, even with the ceasefire and with the hostages being returned. So, I still believe that Biden is going to be a majority of Americans' choice. And if it's not, then we get what we deserve. And we got what we deserved for 4 years. We all died because of COVID, because of this guy. People were dying by the hundreds of thousands, and it was preventable. You want a return of that? Be my guest. I'll be in Spain.
Yeah.
You're laughing, but I'm not joking.
Yeah.
I will not be here for a second Trump term.
How do you work Spanish citizenship, Jim Avila? Do you have a sponsor or something? How does it work over there? Have you looked into it for real?
I've looked into it. You can retire there, and you can still get.
You can buy your way
work
in, effectively. Yeah.
Well, you can't work, but you can retire.
I see.
And get your money from whatever retirement pensions and Social Security that you get. You can take it in a foreign country. So in Spain, and Spain is a relatively cheaper place to stay. Of course, I just signed a 3-year contract, so maybe my ambitions are a little less.
You're a little out over your skis on that, Jim Avila.
Right.
I mean,
I'm pulling for a Biden win. Well, I still can.
Hey, last thing I want to ask you about is an effort on the part of several states to put sensible gun restrictions in place. I mean, essentially a kind of, again, these are limits on magazine size and ammunition and the sorts of guns that people can own. Assault rifles being outlawed in a couple of these states. Again, 2 states, specifically Maryland and Oregon, they are apparently not now permitted to go against the power of the law from the Supreme Court to allow them to. You cannot restrict essentially gun ownership or even the ownership of these high-capacity ammunition magazines. It flies in the face of court rulings. So both Oregon and Maryland are told, hey, sorry, great idea, but you can't do it. It's unconstitutional.
Right, and I think what has to happen is there has to be a win in the House and the Senate, and then they narrowly tailor some things, which includes, I still think there can be an AR-15 ban, a ban on semi-automatic rifles. That passed and was in law. There's precedent for it. I think that still can happen. So what has to happen is the Congress and the Senate both have to turn over. The Senate's going to be very tough. I think the House is going to turn over to Democrats, because all those people who in New York, upstate New York, and in California, I think they've learned their lesson. They'll come back. But in the Senate, it's a very tough road, as you pointed out, the ones that are up for election now. But the Republicans are such losers, and they've lost so many, that it's certainly possible they'll lose again in the Senate even.
And just to be pure about it, so everybody knows, it was a 3-judge panel in Richmond, Virginia, ruling that a 10-year-old Maryland law related to licensing requirements for handguns was unconstitutional. And then in Oregon, a state judge, this happened on the same day, a state judge in southeastern Oregon concluded that a ballot initiative approved by voters that would prohibit high-capacity magazines and require background checks and training to obtain gun permits, that violated the state constitution. So those are the 2 judicial rulings, just to be clear about it. I think I might have said Supreme Court. These are troubled times, man, and I'm going to miss you on this show. I think you really are a voice of clarity, and you've got such terrific experience that you draw on, Jim. You just give us a real sense of the landscape in ways that I think very few others can. Kim, did you want to say goodbye to your boyfriend, Jim?
Yes, I want to say goodbye to my boyfriend, my news crush. Can we maybe change your name and put up a mysterious picture?
I already did that.
That way, no one will know who you are, and we get to keep you. Is that that's not cool?
I don't think I'm going to be able to get it past them. I mean, I didn't want to first thing go into hey, I'm here, and now I'm going to fight you right away. Not a good look. So I think let's give it a little bit, and then hopefully I'll come back and talk to you on special occasions.
What a privilege certainly for me to...
Certainly on those special events that Mark has, since those aren't broadcast, I can come in and say hello.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, when we do the meetups, he can still still meet up since it's not broadcast. I love that. I love that as a fallback. You've given me something to hope for. Hey, Jim.
Thanks.
Yeah,
it's a total privilege though to get to know you on this show. You're so awesome, and I'm gonna miss you.
Oh,
I'll be around, Kim. Don't worry.
A lot of people with a lot of love for Jim Avila in the chat. Jim, thank you. Enjoy the rest of your holiday season, and we will talk to you soon. Good luck.
Take care.
Bye-bye. Jim Avila, everybody.
Yay.
Yeah. Hi, it's Mark, and I thought that was great. Hit the notification bell. You'll know whenever there's a new video being dropped, and please subscribe to our channel to help us save the universe.